Hello, everybody. Doug needs to turn his volume down. Um, it's Thursday night. I'm Nate. This is Hollywood Comics, and I'm joined by my good friend Doug, the comic collector coach. Doug, good to see you.
Good to see you, man. I'm glad we're finally doing this.
Yeah, we have talked about doing this, I feel like, for like a year. You are somebody who, and I've said this about you before, I feel like I hear from you if I haven't heard from you, or you haven't heard from me. Like, you are really good at checking up on people. And I just kind of wanted to have a conversation with you about, the mental headspace of collecting, and also, like, invite our friends in the community to share where they are, because collecting can be overwhelming. Yeah.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
So, I guess we should preface with neither of us are like mental health professionals or know what we're talking about.
Absolutely.
We're not a doctor. We're not a psychologist. We're just two dudes who collect and think about our own situations and have had conversations with each other. And we just wanted to broaden that out a little bit. And so I'm glad to see we got some people in the chat. We're not going to show books. We're going to talk about comics, big picture. But let's say hey to some folks who came to see us tonight. And I did see, there's my friend Alex clocking in at 1:31. I know there was an earlier message, I think from Lewis, and he must have got deleted. But then K Munin, who's usually first, and he just says, in my opinion, collecting, regardless of what it is a way for people to unwind and have something to enjoy. People just need to be careful not to overdo it and go into debt. So he kind of just said it all. I don't think we need to do the show anymore.
That's right. He covered it A to Z. One and done.
But there's Mark from Mark's Issues with Archie. And then Eric from SideQuest. I don't have a collecting problem. I can stop whenever. I don't know if either of us can, buddy. Right. That's why we're here, is to talk about, the ways to do it sanely, healthily. There's Rich from Big Nasty. And there's Lewis. Like I said, I'm pretty sure Lewis had everybody beat by at least a day. Thanks for being here, Lewis. And I'm sorry if I'm missing your good comments. Post them again here in a bit. There he is. Robbie Josephs, one of the greatest collectors I know. Somebody with one of the most awesome collections. And
it's pretty prolific, yeah.
Oh, just great stuff. There's Michael, just Michael. There's good old Adam from Up and Adam. Sorry, I'm skimming fast here. I thought I saw... Oh, there's my friend Chris. I'm ready for my mental health to be repaired tonight. I hope you've got a second show to go to. There's Derek from Uncanny Derek. And I think we did it. Nope, there's Matt from Impress. I just saw he put a video up from WonderCon today, which was really cool. That was really neat to see.
MegaCon, I think.
MegaCon, that's it. MegaCon, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
I think I got it. Oh, and there's Richard Westfall. How are you, my friend? And Jason from Archivist Adrift. All right. Right before we started, you and I were talking about how, primarily comic book collecting is what I do. I think it's the biggest part of my collection. But currently, and over the years, I've collected a lot of other things. Like, I made a list of the things that I've collected, and it's pretty long. And people who have been to my house and seen, like, it's extensive. I have a lot of things. So I kind of want to hear from people in the chat, as well as, you, like, what things you guys collect, including and outside of comics. Like, for me, it's action figures, board games, card games, books, vinyl records, movies, Blu-rays, mid-century decor, kitschy planters, like little tchotchkes and things at antique malls. My wife and I collect salt and pepper shakers, and I love mid-century modern atomic lampshades. So, I fill my house with all of these things, and over time, I've done more or less of that collecting from those different things. Comics has always been there. But I collect a lot of things, and I think a lot of collectors, whether you're primarily comic books or action figures or whatever, I think a lot of collectors are multifaceted in what they collect.
Right. Because when you have that collecting when you have that collecting, I won't call it a gene, but that trait that makes you want to collect things.
Yeah.
You just, you start with one thing, maybe rocks or coins, which is how I started as a kid.
Okay.
I started with collecting coins. And then trading cards was always a big baseball card guy. And then, of course, when Marvel, I was at that ripe age where Marvel trading cards became a thing. And so I had to have all of them. And then comic books, obviously. But like we were saying beforehand, I've collected a lot of comic book adjacent stuff. So I love statues. Statues is a deep, dark hole, and it's a roller coaster ride. They're expensive. They're everywhere. You can always find one that you want. And, for the cost of one statue, potentially, you could get several hundred books. So you got to weigh your options budget wise. Like King Union's was saying, right at the beginning of the show, don't put yourself in debt for your collection. It's not worth it.
Absolutely.
The cool thing is nice and shiny and cool, but it's not as great as, being able to eat or having power or putting gas in your car. So, but yeah, if it's comic adjacent, if it's a weird thing I've never seen before, yeah, I'll pick it up if the price is right.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Like, especially if it's a character I really like and I see something and it can be really stupid. Like I saw Marvel toilet paper once, and it, that's dumb as hell, but thank God it was expensive, because I would have come home with it because that's such a novelty. And that's an impulsivity thing. I struggle with impulsivity when it comes to picking things up. I don't have a lot of buyer's remorse, but I definitely do have it from time to time.
Right.
I'm going to jump in the comments here real quick. So the whole community's FOMO, but also enablers. We're all trying to outdo each other, even if it's unconscious. At least that's my opinion. I don't know if I'm trying to outdo anybody. I'm always trying to, I like to show the things that I'm excited about. And I get into it when people, show the things that they're excited about, even if it's not, like you said, statues. I love to watch statue unboxings. So I can live vicariously, but because I'm not going to spend that money myself.
Right.
But, like, I do love when I see somebody get a statue of a character and they are just so jazzed about the detail and the way it fits together and the lighting and all that.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where, some people buy fine art, right? I spent $2,000 on an oil canvas painting from the 1700s. Cool. If you like that, that's your thing. That's awesome. But when it comes to statues, they can present well, if you're depending on what your decor in your home is, or if you got, shoved into one room like most of us are, they can still make the room pop. I consider a lot of it art, like we display our books, we hang our books up. Why do we do that? We like looking at them because of the art. So, it's multifaceted, like you said. There's a lot of reasons to collect. Some people only buy covers that they like because they appreciate the art. And you know what? Right on. That's a cool way to collect. If you're just buying to support an artist, I get that. But using that to segue into the next kind of topic, where the collecting and especially in the comic hobby, I think gets split it can be very divisive very quickly, is you're not a real collector if you're only buying for covers, or you haven't read that, but you own it. Well, if you don't read your books, then you're not a collector. So that is the thing that I don't care for. And I think most of us, if we're being honest, don't engage in that behavior or like it either, but it gets put up with because there's so much of it. You can't get away from it.
I'm going to argue that you kind of can, like, within the YouTube space, when there are people who I consider kind of like aggressively gatekeeping things or just approaching collecting in general from a standpoint that I just don't vibe with. I don't watch that. I don't get into it. I'm just clicking through here to show what everybody is collecting, because the next part of the question was, like I said, I've kind of, my collecting has ebbed and flowed even within comics, and it's always been there. But I gave up a lot of, like, I have almost stopped completely buying new action figures because I'm almost out of space. Like I don't have room to put them. I've got shelves in my living room downstairs and they are just for action figures and they're full. So it's really got to be something special at this point. I quit collecting vinyl records because it was expensive. It was taking up space. It's heavy. And that was where I was weighing, like, I would honestly rather have comics than I would have records. Same with board games. Like I have hundreds of board games, but at this point, like I'm just not buying new ones because I feel like I've got every kind of game I need, you know?
Right.
I'm just curious if anybody else and in the chat, please throw it out there. Things that you used to collect maybe a little more furiously and you've given up in order to, you know, focus more on something that you want.
I know for me that thing is sports cards. As big as I collected sports cards in the 80s and 90s when I was a kid, it is wild now. What's he saying? Oh yeah.
You will come back to that one because that's a huge one. That's a huge one, I think.
But I think we all, you know, as we evolve as collectors and kind of hone in on and whittle down what we are no longer willing to collect, whether for whatever reason, spatially, budget wise, you know, maybe you just don't like a certain thing anymore, like the interest is gone, and that's fine, you know. But yeah, I agree with you. I loved action figures as a kid, but collecting them there's no space for that.
Well, that is like you just said, it is totally okay to like change your mind about something, fall out of love with something.
Right.
I think collectors can get stuck with, and I did this very recently with The Flash. I have collected, tried to put together every bit of the Wally West run of The Flash, and I have a really good chunk of it. All the way up into, you know, 700, 800, whatever the issue was. And then the relaunch happened with the new DC run, and I did not like it at all. But I was getting it because I, you know, want to put all of Wally's books together. And like deciding to drop that off my pull list was actually really liberating, where I didn't have to get something I didn't like just because it was, you know, just because I had set this goal for myself that I'm going to have the Wally run. I don't have to, you know. Now, if I come across those for $1, I'll probably grab them because I'm an idiot. But like, it's still like, it felt really good to be able to do that. And I've been letting some things go from my collection because not that it's not like that you're admitting that you're wrong. Like, oh, I was stupid, I shouldn't have done that. It's just, it's not, it was right at the time. I liked it at the time, but now it's okay to let that go. And I'm looking at things like, if I'm never going to read this again, if it's never anything that I think I'm going to, you know, enjoy on that level, I'm going to let it go. Like I did with records, like I did with board games. Not that I don't still like to play those things.
Right. And honestly, I actually think that's a pretty important ability or skill to teach yourself, is looking at something and saying, am I doing this because I feel like I'm not being true to myself if I don't get the whole Wally West run? Like or is, you know, on the other side of that coin, is my collection that I have, this chunk of this run, is it good enough as it is because I like it the way that it is? So do I really need this extra? And again, like you said, you weren't enjoying it. Why throw your money at it if there's, you're going to find something else that you like instead, even if you'd never heard of it. So, you know, I'm with you on that. There's a lot of titles that, not to say I got caught up in FOMO, but maybe I was interested in at the beginning. You know, we've all bought that issue 1 because it's got good promise, and we read it and we go, that's not so great, but it's on my pull list now. What do I do? It just keeps
going down, and but you stick with it because of what Mark says right here. Like, a lot of collectors have that completionist urge. We want to have the whole thing, and we don't want to let that go.
Right. And there's a huge sense of fulfillment when you do complete a run.
Oh yeah.
You know, I don't know how many you've completed, but like most of what I've got that's complete is really small runs or short runs. Right. But I remember 2 years ago, I got the last book I needed to complete volume 1 of Moon Knight, being a huge Moon Knight guy. Yeah. And I was like, oh man, why did this take me 5 years to do? You know what I mean? And I felt great about it. But then I was like, moving on to the next kind of little bug that bites us is, well, now what do I collect? I collected my favorite character's run. Now what do I have to collect?
I guess that's the thing, is like, and that goes back to I can't remember who just said it. Is it getting the thing or having the thing? And I think you can appreciate something without having to acquire it. That's what I've kind of like you said, you've got to mature, and maybe I have finally, as I approach 50 years
Not
old.
me. I'm a giant 6-year-old.
I am too. That's the problem. Like, I love this stuff, but there does come a point where you have to look at some of the things that you've been collecting and amassing and ask yourself, like, it's that TV show where she's like, does this still give you joy? And that really is legitimately a question you have to ask yourself. Self-control and FOMO are my biggest problem. I bought several copies of Superman, Spider-Man. I only need to read one. See, I only bought one. There were several of those that I wanted, but and that really came down to money for me. So on Wednesday, Spider-Man, Superman, there's 24 variant covers or something crazy, and I ended up getting the one that I really liked the most. But I couldn't bring myself to buy a second one for $9. I just couldn't. If it was a regular price variant, I probably would have got two. But then I giggled at Robbie. I'm collecting wrinkles and gray hairs. Yeah.
Hey,
I hear you there. You have years to collect your wisdom, Adam. You have years.
Yeah. It'll come naturally if you let it.
See, that can be dangerous right there. We are kids with credit cards, and
100%.
I still feel like I've never gone off the deep end. I've never bought something big and stupid that I shouldn't have. But there's no question that I have woken up on a Saturday morning and realized that, I spent some money on whatnot last night as I was drinking my whiskey and watching Star Trek.
And that yellow bar is so easy to slide. It's way too easy.
And that in itself is like a FOMO trap, because once you've bought your first thing on, on eBay, you can buy something and get it shipped, but on whatnot, well, I'm already paying shipping, so I may as well hang out and get as many as I can. Yeah.
And God forbid you win a giveaway and now you have the shipping is free. And now everything that you buy doesn't matter from that seller.
Right.
All the shipping's taken care of.
That's happened. I wasn't on eBay today. I was, but it's because I sold two things.
Hey, that's another important part to touch on. Let's shift into that. So, when do you, like you said, you've had the conversation with yourself and you say, okay, what am I not in love with? What am I willing to let go of? And keeping the budgetary part of this in context. Is it, if I sell this, is it going to be enough for me to roll into the hobby? Therefore, no house money's coming out and everybody's happy.
Yeah. For me right now, what has been my impetus for selling is that I'm getting buried in my collection. I have picked up so much over the last 5 years because I've stumbled on some just really stupid deals. And so a lot of that stuff, like, you can't read it all, you can't keep it all, and that's where I've been. And a couple of things, like I sold Dork number 1 because I got it to read it and I loved it. But when people were paying $80 for that, I was like, I don't $80 love this at all. Yeah,
100%.
It wasn't hard. And I'm not telling people to sell their stuff, because some people never want to sell their comics, and that's okay too. It's like, you got to do what you want to do. I just realized that, I can be, especially with some of the modern stuff, I can be just as happy reading a trade sometimes as I can, or with a third printing of a first issue. I really don't care. I'm a reader primarily. I'm not a collector to have the thing and show everybody, look at the thing that I have. I want to say, hey, I read this thing and I loved it and I want to talk to you about it, which is two different approaches. One's not right, one's not wrong.
Sure. And there's, the introvert extrovert thing. Some folks don't want to have an interaction about what they've read, other than maybe if somebody asks them a question, hey, what do you recommend for somebody who likes XYZ? Oh, these 2 or 3 titles are great. But then there's the other folks that, I'm in the same boat with you. Like, if I've read something and I think it's awesome and I want it to stick around, I'm telling everybody, because I want it to get as much attention as possible. I don't care so much about it getting optioned for a TV show or a movie. Like, it's cool when those things get picked up. And if I had my druthers, some of the things that we've gotten TV show wise or movie wise, I probably would scratch off the list and pick something else. I think a lot of us feel that way, but I agree with you 100%. I would much rather read something and talk with a group of people about how great it is, what we loved, what we didn't like, and what's maybe better or what's something completely to stay away from.
I want to touch on this with Jeff Jack, because this has happened to me before, like not recently, because I've honestly really honed my pull list down to the things that I know I'm into and that I read every first top of the pile kind of thing.
Sure.
And I like to walk the wall of new releases and see what came out and grab things off the wall that way. But this has definitely happened to me where, because I always get a book, for whatever reason, it gets pushed further and further down my read pile. And then I'm like, I'm going to get caught up on it. And then you're like, damn it, this sucks. This wasn't any good. And when it's 6 issues, that's like $30.
Yeah.
So
I did the same thing when they relaunched Thundercats, and this is a separate, I'll touch on this and then we'll circle back to it. So when they relaunched Thundercats in 2024 with Dynamite, and I was like, excellent. Thundercats was one of my favorite TV shows as a kid. I didn't really get the comics as a kid, not the Thundercats, because I was more into superheroes, Iron Man and Spider-Man and all that as a kid. But so I put it on my pull list. Well, what did they do in true Dynamite fashion? There were like 137 variant covers for issue number 1 of Thundercats, which is mind-numbingly too many.
Yeah.
And there were so many that I liked. And finally I just settled. I was like, I'm just going to have to pick an artist that I really like and just get that one. And then from there on out, my pull list was just the A cover every week. But that's the series for me. Like you just said, I had it on my pull list every month and I've got every issue, but I've only read like the first 6. And the reason for that, because it didn't start off strong. So I was like, oh, this is a bummer. Yeah. And then I just didn't take it off the pull list because, I don't know, posterity, I guess.
Right.
But now I've gone back and I've been rereading them and I've gotten back to like, I don't know, issue 10 or so. And it actually got a lot better. Declan Shalvey did a great job with it. And the deeper into the run you get, the better it gets, which is great. But sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes we got to cut that cord and dump it off our pull list. And then what do we do with these 1,000 issues of this book that we never read? Well, time to trade or sell or whatever.
Trade, sell, give away. I mean, I don't know. And I wrote something very similar to what K Munin says here. Keep your priorities in mind, obviously. And like I listed them as family, life, hobby, and work. Work is dead last. Like I do appreciate my job, and at work there was this really ridiculous thing they did in education for a long time where they would ask you as a teacher, like, remember your why. Remember why you're here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm here to make money and have health insurance. That's why I'm here. It's and I say that as an educator. I say that as anybody who's ever had any job. Your job, you need your job to do things, but your job needs you to do those things as well. And that's kind of where the contract ends. Like, I feel like some people, work culture in this country has really sapped people. And
it's upside down and backwards, and COVID did not help. Yeah.
And when you feel that way, then you start looking for that fulfillment in places, like your hobbies, like in your collecting. And that's when going too far, I feel like, can happen. And that's when you start not feeling good about what you're doing, with the way you're collecting. Like, you just kind of start this cycle. And so, I mean, my advice there is to do your job and then leave your job there. Like, don't let it follow you home as much as possible so that you can focus on, because the hobby is for yourself. My wife and my son, they're not into this at all. They'll go to conventions with me and we do things. But they could live the rest of their life and never go dig at half price books for comics and probably be happy. But you got to have that balance of, I'm going to do things where I spend time with them doing things that they enjoy. And I do this, this is all for me, for my mental health. And
Right.
when you go too far, you damage that, and you make something that should be good, something that feels negative for you. And that's it. It can just really start a real downward spiral for people. And I
Right.
worry when I see people really like getting a whole bunch of stuff, and you're just thinking, well, okay, well, why are you getting all those things? And I say this about myself too.
Yeah. No, we need that little angel version of ourselves on our shoulder saying, "Hey, man, why don't you cool it? Why don't you put some of those back? Do you need 15 copies of Dazzler #1?"
How much are we paying? Is it the one
exactly.
with the error? What condition?
Right. But no, you said something that I kind of want to expand on, is that you don't bring your work home with you. Whatever your job is, if you're not getting paid to do it at home on your time, then it doesn't need to be at home with you. Leave it at work. And the more you can do that, the more you'll have time to enjoy the things that are your escape from all those other things, like this hobby. And I think that's an important component, because if my wife has noticed, if I haven't been able to get, me time and come sit in my office and read some comics and maybe organize books that are stacked in the corner or something, if it goes several weeks,
I'm telling you, man, that is my jam, is like being up here.
Oh, I love doing it, but if I don't get to do it, like if I don't get that little chunk of time, week over week for months at a time, just due to, she runs her own business and the kids are both under 5 years old and life happening, she'll see it. In my attitude and stuff, and she, why don't you go in the comic room for a couple hours and have some time?
That's great. And that's not everybody is that lucky. I am that lucky. Tomorrow is my son's first day of spring break, and I was talking about some household things I was going to do, and it's my last week of spring break here, and my wife was like, don't do any laundry, don't worry about this, don't do that, you guys just have fun, do whatever you want tomorrow. Having that support is freaking wonderful. And Robbie hits it right on the nose here too. I don't think it's about what you as a person want. Don't get led by the nose, by FOMO, by the hot book of the moment, unless that really is your jam. Sometimes that there's a cover you're really chasing because you love the artist or the character. Like there's nothing wrong with that, unless you're just always chasing that hot book. If you're always doing it, you're probably, I don't know, you seem your focus isn't the comic or the thing that you're trying to get. It's the hot thing. Like, I don't know. I don't want to just keep jumping, I got this and now I remember, I'm sorry, I'm going back here a while. Ricky from All Sorts of Words, he had said, he had bought first appearance of the Legion of Superheroes. And I think it was that book. He got that book and he was like, I was so happy I got it for a good price. He goes, and within a day or two, I'm back on eBay and I'm looking at other stuff.
Mm-hmm. It's hard not to.
I got the thing and I rode that high, and then it was like, well, now I got to chase something else.
Right.
And that's, I don't know. He had asked, am I a collector or do I have a shopping addiction? And I think that Venn diagram has a pretty big overlap.
Yeah, there is a big overlap there for sure. But then I wanted to also mention, going down the trail that you were saying there, if you are that person that likes to get the newest, hottest thing, there's nothing wrong with that. Collect what you want to collect and how you want to collect it reasonably and responsibly. The problem with that is, how responsible is it if that is your jam and that the secondary market, flippers and all that is going to be, look at Dork, look at White Sky, look at Absolute Batman. The secondary market is going to price you out of those things, and then starts the downward spiral of being financially irresponsible, sacrificing, well, if I sell these other things that I love and I don't really want to let go of, but if I sell them, I can get that Absolute Batman #1 and a 9.8. Like, okay, or what if, hear me out, you just waited a little while longer?
Yeah, that's something else I think we should keep in mind as collectors, is that these things aren't going to disappear. You know, there is
Right.
a finite amount of them, but they're out there. People are buying Hulk 181s every day. You know,
Yeah.
every day. There's so many more of these books than you think there are. And there definitely are some rare books out there, but that's not the wheelhouse that I park my car in.
Sure.
You had talked about this, Doug, and this is a good thing that Adam's saying here, is that comics and mental health, for me, the hobby has been there for me when life has been shite.
100%.
And we are in this small little corner of YouTube collecting. You know, we're so lucky to have so many people that kind of share our viewpoints, our passion, our love for the hobby. And so there just has been, like, in the last 2 years that I've been making YouTube videos and watching them, that, like, I've met a lot of cool people.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been, very, I'm not going to say double-edged sword. It's been extremely rewarding. It's been nothing but positive. But there's a lot of people like Adam and Eric from SideQuest who have ridiculous collections and show things. I'm like, oh, well, I want to get that too, So there is that part of the cycle,
sure,
where we feed off of each other. But yeah, I think it's such an isolated hobby, reading. Right?
Yeah.
That's the hobby, really, when it comes down to it.
You think that the hobby and the community of just comic book collecting in general, because you see footage from cons and it's like, oh my God, San Diego Comic-Con had 700,000 visitors this year. That's bananas. Mm-hmm. And you think that's a lot of people, but it is still, in the grand scheme of things, a lot smaller than you think. And so to have an even smaller corner, like you said, of the internet that we can call our own and kind of cultivate the way we want, that for me has been something that really has gotten me more passionate. And I've told Brandon at Mon Comics this many times. I was like, watching your videos and Mike from Lunch Money and a couple other people before I, everybody else started channels and I started, finding other folks, really made me want to collect because I like doing it, not because I felt like I had to, or because I missed it, but I wanted to do it because it was like the thing that gave me peace when, like Adam said, when times aren't so great, I can go read a couple of comic books and be like, I'll just forget about things for a little while, fresh perspective, and then, get good sleep at night. And that's being able to do that in this community is pretty awesome.
You're saying that the hobby actually served its purpose, which is to make you feel better about
the
world and your place in it.
Right.
So Lewis here, it doesn't matter how much you bring. What matters is how much can you responsibly take? Like, that's the question you got to ask yourself when you go do these things, and trying to stay within that budget. I think that's kind of like what it's not the eternal struggle or anything, but there's always going to be more that you want than you can afford. And that's
correct.
Okay. That's what keeps us going back. JSS says hi to you. What's up, John?
Sorry,
I'm missing a bunch of comments.
No, they are chatting away. Yeah, this is a lot of engagement, so that's awesome. But the other thing I wanted to say too, what you had said just a second ago, people are buying Hulk 181's perfect example every single day, and the average, I won't even say average because I'm going to screw it up if I start talking about numbers, but we'll just say, most of the time you see a Hulk 181 for sale somewhere. We'll say it's a mid-grade, say it's a 5, 6, whatever. It's already slabbed. It's in a CGC case, whatever. Thousands of dollars, right? Typically. And the thing for me that I always have to think about when, because that's a book that I'd love to own someday, sure. But I'm also not willing now, and I don't think the market's ever going to cool down on it. Where I'm at in my life, I'm not willing to save $1,000 for a low grade copy and then settle for that. But the thing that where I'm going with this is what a lot of people don't do in the moment, especially at cons or, whatever. You see it and you're like, I got to have the thing. You don't do the research. That's not a low print run book. There are so many of those out there.
Yeah.
And a lot of big keys from the Bronze and Silver Age are pretty large print runs. So it's not like they're hard to find. It's not a rare book. It's just an expensive book. And so I think that's something, the balance of that and not doing the research can lead to an impulse buy that you, like you said, might not regret, but maybe I shouldn't have done that.
All right. Uncanny Derek says, why do we collect? I am always kind of chasing that childhood nostalgia. There's somebody I used to work with, and no matter whatever I do, she'd look at me and she'd go, calm down, Peter Pan. But it was an apt like insult. I don't want to grow up. That's my thing. Like, I feel like this keeps me in the right mindset. I don't want to grow up and be an old man. I always want to be like piloted by that 8-year-old boy that loved Spider-Man.
Sure.
And so I kind of collect to hold on to that. And I do, and I can freely admit that it has gotten out of hand at times. And I have bought things that I didn't need at times. I think we all have, but
yeah,
you have to like reevaluate your collection. You have to reevaluate everything, and it's okay to let some things go. It's okay to say, I'm not into this as much anymore. I'm going to slow down. It's okay to sell some of it. It's okay to not. It's like, it's all okay. You got to figure out how that works for you, because we're all at a different place. I have one kid who's pretty independent now. My life is in a much different place than you are. You have 2 little kids that need you all the time. And I lived that life for a good 7 years where, he was my co-pilot at all times. And then it changes,
Right.
So you can't judge somebody based on what they buy. And you shouldn't judge anybody anyway. Be better than that. But what I'm saying is, like, sometimes depending on where you are on your path, man, you might be in a much different place where you can pick up a whole lot of statues. I'm not going to get in.
Yeah. Right. And again, that then I have to have the conversation, the inner monologue with myself of, all right, you want another statue? Where the hell are you going to put it? Make some room.
Yeah.
You want a statue? Get rid of 50 or 60 books, and now you got shelf space. Okay, well, that's a fair, that's fair and honest, and probably the right thing to do. Otherwise, I'm going to be sleeping on an air mattress, in the yard.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to go through the
No, you're good.
You guys are nuts tonight. And Adam, again, I do think there's a lot of importance in the camaraderie that we have, whether it's YouTube or Instagram or just messaging each other. Hey, Mikey, I like this. This conversation's very positive. Must be some comic folks. We try to be accommodating. I feel like I feel like we get a bad rap with comic book guy from The Simpsons, and that every comic book shop is dingy, and the guy's going to be mean if I ask for a mainstream book or whatever. But yeah, I don't know.
And those people are still out there. Those are the gatekeepy, comic book shop owners and employees that do that, right? So you just don't give business to those folks, and then you don't have to deal with it.
Yeah. I like this. I collect for inspiring art that I see and makes me want to keep creating art myself. And I get that, man. A lot of people, I feel like the art, whether they're artists themselves or not, I feel like a lot of people are inspired by the art part of
100%.
Comic books.
Yeah.
And there are definitely artists that I appreciate. I've always gravitated more towards stories that I like, but there's no question that, I can appreciate the art too. I just think the hobby itself has so many different avenues that we should just be glad anybody's still collecting. I mean, everything's gone digital, man. You can't, it's harder and harder. Most stores aren't carrying Blu-rays anymore. The fact that comic books are still being printed on physical paper and they're still doing sequential storytelling over 6 months is wild to me in this like instant on culture. So and there you go, K Munin. That's what I'm saying. Like, we're talking about Hulk 181, but I'm like, I'm a guy that completed the run of Dazzler. That's my like crown of victory. But that's for me because I really do love that book, and I think a lot of people, aren't into that kind of stuff. Oh, that's another really good point, is that comics are so much a product of their time that as you read the older books, you kind of get that, like, what's it called? When you're doing history and you do research by reading letters and things, it's like one of those first person kind of, like, you can get an idea of how people were talking and what they were thinking about things.
Yeah. And I'll just put this out there, and this is my opinion. I'm sure there's some truth to it, but if you are in the numbers wise, a younger person, and you've only ever read what we'll say modern, stuff from maybe early 2000s to present, do yourself a favor, pick up maybe some Bronze Age stuff or 80s stuff and read it, because the writing is also there's a stark contrast between, Silver Age, Bronze Age writing and modern writing. And boy, some of it, just the vernacular and some of the older stuff. If you don't like to read, but you're enjoying a certain modern run, go read something older and you'll appreciate that new stuff just maybe a little bit more. Some of that older stuff, is tough to digest.
I also think that one of the things I love about comic books specifically is that there are graphic novels that are made like just wholly for telling a story. There are obviously superhero books, but there's history, there's science. I mean, they branch out into so many things, education, and I just like I like it all. I like the heavy stuff. From Hell by Alan Moore is like, that is a huge, dense read. It's amazing. But I couldn't read that kind of thing all the time. I love the variety that comics offers. And that's one of the reasons, aside from ADHD, that I'm so scattered in the things that I collect.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Thank you, Michael. Primary sources. God, you guys are smart. Primary sources. That's what it's like to read a Golden Age book, like that was produced during World War II. You can see what the impact was having on writers and kids and how they were talking to kids during World War II. I think that's really cool. Doug is the enabler. And where was it up here? Somebody said something about all this positivity is giving them a headache. Sorry, that's how me and Doug want to approach this. You're okay.
I'm not sorry. I'll hug you in front of your family and tell them you liked it.
But that's like, that was the impetus of our whole idea, was that, we just want people to be happy, and nobody can do that for you. Nobody can tell you how to be happy. You do have to figure that part out for yourself, but you do have to also be willing to say, if I tried this thing and didn't like it, everybody else likes it. Is there something wrong with me? No, there'll be something wrong with you if you keep doing crap you don't like, if you keep buying books you don't want just because some guy on the internet told you to. Don't listen to guys on the internet. They're idiots.
Yeah, I'm one of those guys, so that's 100% accurate.
Oh, see, there you go. I completed the New Universe runs and was probably one of the few to be excited, but it was fun for me. And I'll agree with you. Like, I don't like New Universe at all, but I love that you like it. Like,
hey man,
you should,
If you like it, then don't let anybody tell you shouldn't like it. What's the point of that? If you like it, keep liking it.
All right. What were you going to say there, bud?
I was going to say, let's touch back on, I know you mentioned Whatnot, and, we can joke all day about how easy it is to buy on Whatnot. There's always something, even if you didn't know you were looking for it, which is often the case for me. Oh, that looks cool. I'm gonna get that for $2. Plus shipping. But buying on any auction platform, bid responsibly. I know a lot of the better sellers, when it's a live auction, they'll say it, hey, bid responsibly, don't bid on something you can't pay, can't afford. Like, the big ones, especially like heritage auctions, they pretty much only sell big stuff all the time. And it's easy to get carried away and put a bid in there. It's like, my thing for bidding on any auction platform is I'm going to put in the bid that I'm comfortable with. That's my budget for the book, whatever, regardless. And if I get outbid, most of the time, like you said, it's not like it's a rare book. If there's another one out there somewhere, the time will come.
Yeah.
And I have to remind myself of that constantly, collecting this Daredevil Volume 1 run. Like, I don't need to go buy a $60 low-grade copy of, I don't know, Daredevil number 4 if I can wait a little bit longer and get it maybe bundled with something else and get a better value. So, patience and diligence, I guess, are keys there.
I think diligence is really key. If you're going to a show, if you're going on Whatnot, if you're looking on eBay, I think you got to set yourself a budget that you're happy with and stick to it. Otherwise, I get the guilt, right? Like if I go over my budget, I'm like, damn it, I wasn't supposed to spend $110. I said I was only going to spend $100. Even that $10 makes me feel like I colored outside the lines and I shouldn't have. Let's see. Derek's very smart. Goes without saying, folks should collect within their means, but it's also important for folks not to feel or be pressured in this hobby. You collect and don't read, that's fine. It is fine. Like, I mean, absolutely. That it drives me crazy to hear somebody tell someone else that they're enjoying something wrong.
Right. Yeah. Oh, you're happy? Let me take a dump on that here for 2 minutes. Yeah, I don't get that.
I don't get it either.
Now, I will say, if you're collecting comic books specifically, which is a literature medium, and you're not reading them, you are missing out. But if that's the way you want to do it, then by all means, do what you do.
Okay, I'm going to go in the Wayback Machine. A million years ago, I used to play a whole lot of World of Warcraft. Like, I mean, a whole lot. And I only played with this one guild that I played with, and we played Horde characters. If you don't know, World of Warcraft has two major factions, Horde and the Alliance. And I was like, I'm never playing the Alliance, blah, blah, blah. And then one of the guys that I was in the guild with, he said basically exactly what you just said. He goes, you're paying for this whole game, and you're only playing the one half of it because that's what you're obsessed with. So you might think about that. And I did. And like the next day I went ahead and I rolled my Alliance character, and I started playing through that part of the game that I was missing. There just is no wrong way to collect, whether you're a run collector, a key collector, a slab collector. I don't care. I don't want anybody going beyond what their means are. And I don't want anybody feeling pressured that they have to do things a certain way.
Right.
Let's see. Yeah, and that's a good point. Like, I mean, Pokemon cards, Funko Pops. Think of all the things, Beanie Babies that have come and gone over the years. And at one point were worth all this money, and now they're not worth hardly anything. Well, not Pokemon cards; those are still nuts. But there's a great video on. It's sad. Two people are getting a divorce in the 80s, and they're splitting up the Beanie Baby collection in court because that was a huge part of their assets that they had together. But these things can very much be fads that come and go, and a lot of these FOMO books, are the same way. They bump way up, and they don't stay there forever. So if you just have a little patience and you just back off, sometimes you realize that you don't need it, or you can be happier with another printing, or just reading, just checking it out in a trade.
That begs the question, am I buying this because I know I enjoy it and I don't have maybe this issue and I want it, or am I buying this as an investment? Because if it's the second one, prepare to be let down and awesome.
I thought about that too. Like, I think you're a little younger than I am, but you got to remember like the X-Men 1 covers, the 5 different X-Men 1 covers.
I had all of them, of course.
Death of Superman, all those different printings. I mean, people were lining up and buying like, not ironically, people were buying so many issues of The Death of Superman saying, this is going to help pay for my kids' college. And they really thought it was.
This is my house in 5 years. This is, whatever. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
If you had told 9-year-old, 10-year-old Doug that the Beanie Babies that he was collecting were going to be worth nothing in, doesn't matter how many years later, I would have said, no, I'm going to get something cool when I sell these later. But, they're unsold.
So 9 or 10-year-old Nate at one point decided that I had a cousin who was very into sport. I was never into sports or sports cards, but my cousin was, and he was big on collecting rookie cards for whatever sport he was collecting, whether it was baseball, football, because those were the ones that were going to be worth money. And so I got, and I still have, my wife found it. I have it in this like really thick encapsulated case. It's a Frank Thomas baseball rookie card. And she's like, why do you have this? Well, I have it because I went to a show with my cousin and I paid like $20 or $25 for this rookie card. Now, I don't know what it's worth today, but it ain't $20 or $25. Like,
no, it's probably a little more than that. I think it's a good shape. Yeah.
Well, I keep it as a reminder that it was like, I need to stay in my lane. Like, I don't know anything about sports cards. I was just trying to play a game and make money. And that's why I don't jump into Pokemon cards or, anything else. It's just, I just want to enjoy it. Like, I don't want it to be a stressor. And I think if I'm trying to make money with it, it's a stressor. But for some people, some people really just dig, flipping things, and I don't think that's bad either. If they're enjoying it, it just, whatever you're doing shouldn't be a stressor, because there's enough stress out there. This should be a pressure release.
Yeah, stress is going to come to you regardless of whether you hide from it, you fight it, whatever. It's going to come to you. So why let the thing that's supposed to be giving you joy also bring you stress? That also does not compute for me. Yeah, I don't get stressed out about, FOMO book of the week. I don't get stressed. Now, granted, there are a lot of Instagram pages and YouTube content creators out there that I will watch their content because they cover that topic. Comic Tom is one, top 10, and he's not really, I'll say this for him, he's not really saying, hey, you should get this book. He's just presenting numbers. Hey, this book sold for this much in 2021. It sold for this much this week. And I think that's a good way to do research. Yeah. Get numbers without going to one of 4 or 5 different apps and comparing prices or, whatever. That's a good way to do it.
But then I feel like he is a positive cheerleader for the hobby. I don't feel like he's trying to, he's trying to make his money too. He's trying to make his money. He gets a lot of flack, but I don't care.
And he does some things that, not everybody in this hobby, especially, YouTubers and whatever, that have the means to do, but he's also put in work to get to where he's at. So, but by the same token, what I don't abide by is people going, oh, you shouldn't, we've already kind of touched on this, but oh, don't buy this book. I read it. It was awful. Okay. That's your opinion. And I'll use that to whether or not, I want to buy it, but trying to sway the market because of your opinion. I don't, the speculation, that's something I've never really subscribed to. The FOMO stuff, I've never really subscribed to, And in fact, quite the opposite. I was interested in trying to pick up White Sky until I saw the pre-release prices on eBay. And I was like, you know what? Now I don't want it at all. I'll read it in the trade later. If it's that good, I'll read it later.
And that's where I've been with all of these, like, book of them. Like, it started with Dork and it's just kind of continued. I do feel like it's dropped off a little bit, but every week there's the indie that they're picking this last month, right? That everybody's trying to get. And I bought Dork because I flipped through it and it looked interesting. Like, I liked the art, and I enjoyed it. Issue 2, I did not enjoy as much, and I'm probably not going to get issue 3 because of that. And at the very
Sure.
first opportunity, I sold that number 1 just because. I don't know. I like I said, I said somewhere, I was like, I don't have any answers for anybody. I'm just speaking of my own experience, and I just wanted to keep having this conversation with you because you are somebody
Sure.
who seems to have a good headspace about what you're collecting and why you're collecting it. And we all can go off the rails at times. That's just being human.
100%.
And
case in point, there's a run of Moon Knight from like 2014, maybe the one before that. I didn't realize there were so many variants of issue number 1. And I had been, again, I didn't do my research, just infatuated with my favorite character. And then I'd see a cover and be like, oh man, that's badass. I got to have that purchase. And then so I ended up just the other night, I was going through reorganizing some stuff. I'm like, why do I have 8 copies of the same book? It's the same book on the inside.
Yeah.
And then I looked at all the covers like, oh, that's why. Because I like all of these individually for the art. And I don't regret it, but had I done a little more research, maybe I would have said, I don't think I need 6 of these. 3 maybe would do if I really like the art that much.
Yeah. And I think variant covers are not my jam most of the time.
Sure.
But there are, from time to time, there's a variant that I just really want to check out because my metric for that is always it like you said, it's the same book inside. So essentially I'm buying a poster. And so am I willing to pay $5 for this piece of art because I really like it that much? And if the answer is yes, I'm going to grab it. Case in point, the Alex Ross Timeless variants. I bought so many of those because I really love his interpretation of the character. And they are for books that I don't read, and I won't. I didn't buy the book to read. I literally bought it because I wanted the art, and I feel fine about that.
Sure.
I think as long as I'm happy, right? So
yeah,
anybody else in the same situation, like you said, somebody who only buys because they like the covers, that's fine. I mean, if you never
absolutely cool to do that.
That's, I mean,
just
more power to
do your research. Don't get reamed in the secondary market. And, if it's not something you can do comfortably, then just wait. That book's not going anywhere. That's the other thing too, we can kind of touch on. I don't want to get too far into it because we can rant about this all day, but manufactured scarcity, right? Hey, you better get this book. I'm a perfect example of that. Matter of fact, I haven't posted it yet. I don't even know where I put it. It's around here somewhere. But David Mack, artist who I like a lot. He's done a lot of cool Daredevil covers. He's done a lot of cool stuff. I like his style. And he did an Invincible #1 that was, I believe he had it at MegaCon, but it was also a retailer was selling it online. And so I picked one up because it was a little more expensive than, the non 1,000 copy, limited to 1,000 copies variant. But again, I looked at the price and I was like, okay, this is like $20, $25. That's fair. I don't really care that there's only 1,000, but I do. That's the only cover I want of that book.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to spend that and not, put myself in a position where like, oh, geez, I shouldn't have done that. And on the flip side, not to say, put too much weight in buying as an investment, but if I want to get rid of it later, it's going to have some value to it because there's only 1,000. What I don't like about the manufactured scarcity is that when it's con exclusives and it's a badass cover and everybody wants it and there's only 1,000, well, not everybody can have it.
Right.
So now the prices are going to get out of control. And often that's the case.
So this is kind of where I am starting to struggle a little bit with my collection. In a way, we are always kind of chasing something new, or I don't know if I'm chasing something new. I'm just always like, I'm going to read this. I'm going to read this. But then I take those books and they get filed, and that's where I start to ask myself if I'm ever going to enjoy it again, because I don't think the books should just be locked in a box for the rest of my life. Right. I'm trying to keep things that I legitimately there are things that I'm going to keep that I probably won't read again, but they're important enough to me. Like when I read it that time, I'm keeping that for the memory or whatever. And then everybody's talking about dollar bin diving, and that's where honestly, it's not big money books for me. I get into trouble at the dollar bin because I can come home with a lot of crap, and I do. When Eric and I came home from a little show, and I filled a long box for $50 because they were 25-cent books. And I was like, 25 cents, I couldn't pass it up. And I got 250 some books for $50. And, they are all books I wanted. And there's a lot of run filler in there, but still, it's quantity, right? It's quantity. It's just like, you only have so much time. So, and I don't have an answer. Again, folks, I got no answer here. But I've definitely accumulated more than I could ever read. And so I don't know how to feel about that, because I'm still continuing to buy things. Like the intention is still there to read these things, but I don't know, man.
Yeah. I want to highlight, if you could highlight King Union's comment. He just said a minute ago, I've read every book in my collection. That's incredible, and hats off to you, man, because I can say with confidence I've read maybe 30% of the collection that I have amassed.
I would say I'm in the same boat. I've probably around 30%. But, aside from, like I said, there are books I bought only because I wanted the cover, but for the most part, everything I've bought is because I want to read it. And Matt likes comics. I think he's read everything in his collection.
I believe that. He had to, because that dude is the DC encyclopedia. So, I don't know. Let's see. Where'd he go there? Chris, we can't restart. We just can't. we can't recreate this magic. And wow. Okay. Mark also says he's read all his. I think there's probably a lot of collectors out there that have read everything. Unfortunately, I've never been one, especially in the last couple of years with kids, that when I do go to the comic book store and pick something up, I don't get to come home and read everything that I just bought right away.
Yeah.
I've got to, I can maybe do one or two, and then, time to change a diaper, got to cook dinner, got to go mow the lawn, something. And so, my to be read pile is probably about as tall as I am at this point. And that's okay. I'll get through it. But,
2 stacks on my nightstand and a short box. So that's just the stuff that I took in the room, that I was like, this is what I'm going to get read.
Right.
Jeff Jack, I have done the same thing. Like, I have been a consistent comic book collector since I was 13 years old. I have bought and had a pull list for most of that time, but there's definitely a few instances where I dropped off. Mostly honestly because of like the big summer events. So like Civil War had me cancel almost everything. I was reading so much Marvel at that time, but like it ruined so many ongoings that I was able to, like, I was out. Like after Civil War, there's like a 5-year period where I was still buying comic books. I would still go dig at, at shows and things, but I was buying all vintage, Bronze Age and Silver Age stuff. But I've done this. I go back and forth, and like right now I'm probably, in all honesty, I'm spending $30 to $40 a week on new books. And that's not that many books when right. When it really comes down to it.
10 or fewer, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Most weeks it's, and I've been trying to parse that down too, because, a lot of times, even when I'm really happy with it, like there's a series called Buried Long, Long Ago that came out, and I read it. I got every issue. I loved it. I don't know that I'll read it again, but that's where I struggle. Like, what do I do with this? Like, it's not really worth anything. No one's, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those books that like it came out and it's gone, and it's going to be dollar bin fodder, but it's not like I can, get $1 for it. You gotta right. drag that around to shows, and I'm not a guy selling at shows. So that's where I struggle, is where like I enjoyed this thing, but it's over, and I read it, and I'm not going to go back to it. So now what do I do with it? Cause it's taken up space back here. I don't know.
I'll use that as a kind of a point to pivot on. And that is, I am a big fan of trading.
Oh yeah.
When you can't squeeze, dollars out of books because the value is question mark, and it's, maybe it's got a ceiling that's pretty low. But as a bundle, and you say, obviously the most difficult part of trading is finding somebody that has what you want and is willing to take what you have, and both parties coming away,
Ooh.
perfect scenario, both parties coming away happy, right?
That could be next month's show, the Great Comic Swap.
Yeah, we could talk about that. But there's a lot of ways to do it. I've taken books to cons that I know sellers are interested in because they have no problem moving them, and that's something I had to consider. Which books am I going to take? I had at one point multiple copies of Secret Wars 8, and I took maybe a copy that I wasn't going to get graded, and I went to a show locally here, found a guy that was like, yeah, I would take that, and traded straight up for a really nice copy of Werewolf by Night number 15.
Yeah.
And it was an even trade. Yeah, it was a really nice copy. It's an even trade. We were both happy with it. I didn't really lose anything in it because, full disclosure, I think what I paid for that Secret Wars 8, because I'd had it for so long, was like $40.
Dang. Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? So, again, not to reiterate too many of the same points here, but do your research. And if trading is a route that you're going to go, and you found somebody who's willing to trade, make sure that you're not just offering up garbage to get the thing you want from them. You got to give a little to get what you want. So it's a trading takes some fine tuning, but I love doing it.
I really have never done a trade before, but that's
the thing. Most collectors that I talk to, I've never traded comic books because you don't think about it. Well, if I can't sell it for money, why would I get rid of it? Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not going to cost you anything necessarily to trade unless you got to mail the books, and then that other person's got to mail theirs too. So that cancels out. But yeah, we could definitely have another show where we talk about trading, because I would love to cover that topic.
Yeah, I'll let that percolate. Here's what Michael said here. I haven't really bought new books in 25 years, but what do I do with the 10,000 issues I have in a storage unit? I feel like it's kind of like what I'm doing. I don't have 10,000 issues, but I easily have 8 in this room, I bet. And I'm prioritizing is what I'm doing. Every time I go through a box, every time I file, I have been pulling some things out that I'm like, I don't. Yeah, and I've got boxes set aside that are my buy, sell, trade. That's what it says on them. Even though I've never traded, Doug, that's what I put was buy, sell, trade.
Yeah, that's what I literally have one labeled trade.
Or give. I'm sorry, give, sell, trade. Because I just, I would, and my friend Eric said this earlier. He's like, I'd rather just give a book away sometimes to let somebody else enjoy it once. And that is a good way to get rid of things. Is to, if somebody else would dig it, send it to them. And a lot of us do that. But yeah, I have just been kind of, I guess, curating would be the word. Like there are things that I have bought that I bought for whatever reason. I legitimately wanted it. But when it comes right down to it, I'm deciding that this isn't something I need to keep in the collection because I want to prioritize X, Y, Z, and that's a personal thing. Like I am putting together Silver Age Superman, Lois and Jimmy. There are some runs I'm still gonna keep working on, but then there's a lot of things that I can just give away. Batman is a character I love. I have a ton of Batman comics, but I also have a ton of like Batman miniseries that I don't care for. You know what I mean? Like, it's like there's so many books. Like I'm just kind of coming to terms with the fact that I don't have to keep all of these things forever and always. But that's up to people as individuals. I know that SideQuest Comics is never going to sell a book. It's just not in his DNA. He can't do it, and it's hard for me, but it's been getting easier.
Yeah. The one thing I can't bring myself to do, one thing I can't bring myself to do, regardless of, if I can look at a book in my hand and like, I don't even want this. I don't know why I have it. I don't think I have comics that were, when you buy something, and Whatnot's a perfect example. And maybe the seller has stuff that they know they can't sell. So it's like, oh, you're getting extra books. oh, cool, all these extra books. And then you look at it and it's like, you know, I don't know, pick a 90s cover that, or a 90s title that doesn't exist anymore.
Dr. Mirage.
There you go. Anything.
I have like 5 issues of Dr. Mirage, and I'm like, why? Because exactly what you just said, they came in lots of other things.
Right. And it's like, I don't want this. I know that I don't want this. So either I'm giving this away, or I will work it into a trade where you want these 3 books and I'll give you the stack just cause. But one thing I can't bring myself to do is throw something in the trash. Unless it's absolutely terrible, then I'll, throw it in the recycle bin. But I just can't bring myself to throw them away.
It's around here somewhere. I've got a comic that literally was missing the middle 3 centerfold pages, so it's incomplete. And I can't bring myself to throw it away. I took one of the pages that fell out and made this little backboard that I use when I display comics. But I can't bring myself to throw that away. I can't. Another rule I have just for myself personally, if somebody sent me something as a gift, I will not sell that. I might pass it along to, I will pass it along to somebody else, or I will keep it in my collection because it was a gift from somebody. But I won't take something that somebody sent me, out of the kindness of their heart and put it up for sale.
Sure.
Of course, that said, if I sent something to someone and they sold it, I wouldn't care. But it's just
I typically, when I send stuff to people, I'll write a note and be like, listen, this is for sell, trade. If you want to use it in a giveaway, that's fine. My feelings aren't going to be hurt. I just thought of you when I saw it. Here you go.
It was easier to place that book in an outgoing shipment than it was to throw it in the trash. And that's true. I would honestly rather, I would never throw something away. I would spend the money to ship it to somebody before I would throw it away.
Sure.
And yeah, there's plenty of stuff that I'm just, that I am sitting on that I don't know what to do because there's legitimately no value in it. I got it for $1 because no one else wanted it. It's going to take me a long time to find somebody who would pay $1 for it.
Well, 2 places, if anybody who's ever in that situation, as both of us seem to find ourselves, but if you're in a situation where you've got books you're not going to keep, you don't want them, whatever reason, you just don't want them. 2 places that will always take books is the library. Local library will always take books because even if they don't put them on themselves, they'll at least take them and go through them. And then, maybe somebody goes home with them. That's fine, whatever. And then some of my local comic book shops here in the DFW area, they're really cool about hey, man, I got this short box of stuff that I don't want. There's not a lot of value here. Can you make sure that age appropriate kids get their hands on these? Maybe let them dig through there, or give 1 per customer or whatever. Just give them to kids. And most of them are really cool about that. Yeah, we can do that.
Mr. Akins from What's on the Comic Rack, and I did this one year as well. You give away comic books at, you gotta, make sure that they're age appropriate, like you said, but give them away at Halloween. And kids thought that was really cool the year that I did.
Yeah, that is cool.
Then my friend Chris at Condition Not Considered, I was talking to him the other day, and he's a high school teacher, and he runs a comic book club at his high school. And he mentioned, if you wanted to give that to those kids in the club, they'd love that. And I was like, oh, holy shit. Wait, there's teenage comic book readers who want comics. Cause that's a way to, I don't want to give them 6 issues of Dr. Mirage. Don't get me wrong there, but there are dollar books that are worth reading. And so I started a pile for him. So, those are 2 ways that I'm trying to just give away to people who would enjoy them.
Right.
And that's a great idea too. Big Brothers, Big Sisters, the Boys and Girls Club. There's a lot of youth organizations you could probably reach out to, and as long as they were age appropriate, say, hey,
right. You're going to have to, get, you can't just show up to, like you said, high school with some mature audience books
you kids
and have
Crossed?
them be. you who wants to see a dead body? Yeah. There's no ways, but yeah, there's always somewhere you could go, and then worst case scenario, take them to half price books. You know what I mean? A lot of us go look for comics there. they'll take just about anything. Now,
They will.
you might only get 25 cents per book, but
I
guess
think
what?
you'd be
You were
lucky to
going
get
to throw
25
that book out anyway. So
Very true.
turn it into a credit and fund the hobby by going to someplace that'll at least, no cash is exchanged, but you could get something for something that you didn't value.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. If you're going to throw it away or you're going to pay to mail it to somebody, do that. You can also send them to Eric at SideQuest Comics because he'll take it. I kind of want to wrap this up. I don't want to just keep circling the same thing.
Yeah.
I guess like my whole purpose for doing this was one, just to have a chance to hang out with you and talk about something that we talk about anyway, and bring our friends in the community in on this. But I feel like whatever it is that you're collecting, whether and I know it's comics for most of us, it changes. It ebbs, it flows. You have to reevaluate it, and that's healthy.
Right.
Sometimes people feel like change is admitting wrongdoing or something, like, oh, what I was doing wasn't correct, and that's not necessarily the case at all.
Right.
You always have to evaluate your situation for where you are and what you're doing, and most importantly, what's making you happy. Because if your hobby is making you unhappy, God help you. There's just too much out there that's beating us down. This is supposed to be the fun stuff.
Yeah. What's the joke about golfing where one guy says the other is like, I didn't know you were a golfer. You like to golf? No, I hate it, but I also don't want to be at home. You know what I mean? So like, don't invest your time because you can't get it back. Don't invest your time into something that's causing you not to be happy or get some joy out of it. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it very well said. I mean, the amount of time we have is so finite, and the older I get, man, the faster it goes. And so I just don't want to waste a second of it. I don't want to waste a second of it doing stuff that I don't want to do, or that I don't absolutely have to do to get to the stuff that I want to do, which is why I'm again going to reiterate to everyone, put as little effort into work as you possibly can, and then get the hell out of there.
Right.
And do the things that are most important to you.
And then, I guess to kind of put a bow on this, and I really enjoyed this. I hope everybody in that's, commenting in chat, we got a lot of engagement. I think that's awesome. So I hope everybody's enjoyed this as well.
Yeah. I will say, I'm sorry if I'm sure I've missed some gold in the comments. I'm trying to.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. It's been scrolling so much. But the one thing I wanted to say, you said at the very beginning, we are by no means, any kind of mental health doctors or experts. But that being said, as a veteran, I know what it feels like to lose a friend or a veteran brother or sister who nobody checked on. So, I may not have time to check on all of you, but if you ever need somebody to talk to, just shoot a message to somebody. It doesn't have to be me. If you don't want it to be me, or you could, Nate or whoever, shoot a message to somebody and talk about, get it out. If you just need a set of ears, and no opinion at all, I can listen and shut up. So, just putting that out there. I think everybody needs to have that. And I think a lot of people don't. Again, COVID didn't help that at all. So,
And what you just said is wonderful. If you feel like you are overwhelmed with something, you need to say something, say it, find somebody to talk to. And then the other side of that is, if you think you see somebody who needs an ear, lend it to them.
Right.
And Doug, you've always been somebody who does that, for me and for a lot of other people. And it is appreciated. So yeah, buddy. Thank you, Doug, for being here, for like doing this, coming up with this idea with me. And there's Dave from the other side of the world. We're great, buddy.
There he is.
We're doing real good. There's not. Why am I collecting Nightwing?
Why do I have 6 copies of Nightcat?
I only have two. But yeah, we're gonna wrap this up. If you guys, if you're watching on the rewind, if you got something to say, please leave it in the comments. I will definitely respond to it. If there's something you guys want to say or talk about, shoot one of us or both of us a message on the old Instagram. And yeah, we may do this again at some point because I just think it's good to do a little mental health check-in and say, how you doing? I'm doing
Absolutely.
pretty good. So I hope everybody else is too. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Have a good night, everybody. Go enjoy the rest of your evening.